Good evening, everyone. I'm Jen Vericamp. I'm, as Jackie mentioned, the director of the Fashion Design Certificate Program. So I can answer all the questions on the curriculum and sort of the outline of the program plan.
So now we're going to have a presentation that Jen will run, and I'll show the presentation and Jen will just tell me to move forward. So you can save your questions to the end, and you can put them in the chat. There'll be a little Q&A afterwards, so don't worry, we're here to answer your questions. So Jen, let's start the presentation. Yeah.
So as Jackie's pulling that up, I'm gonna just give you an overview of the program, and Joe will jump in at some point to give you some more details about the logistics for applying. But yeah, this is the Fashion Design Certificate Program. This actual image is one of our student projects. It's one of the projects that students do in the Intro to Creative Fashion course, where they have to make a garment out of a non-textile. So I'll give you a little bit of background about MassArt to begin with, and the program. Next slide. All right. So MassArt is an independent college of art and design. You can see here from this slide about what we have in numbers for our student population. So we're a relatively small school, which is great because we can keep our numbers, our ratio of students to faculty really low. So our undergraduate students are just over 1,600, graduate students over 100, and our continuing ed students 153. MassArt is our program in fashion design is one of the oldest in the country. It was established in 1907. So you can see a little bit more. We are affiliated with the CFDA, which is the Council of Fashion Designs of America. I'll talk a little bit more later on about where some of our alumni have ended up working as well. Next slide. So I'm just going to give you an overview of the Fashion Design Certificate Program. We've been now offering this for over 20 years. It consists of 10 courses, and in that 10 courses, there are 3 electives, and then there are 6 required classes and 1 portfolio class. The shortest amount of time that you can complete the program in is 2 years and a summer. It's set up to be part-time because we have the program set up for working professionals. So the classes are all offered in the evening. And you would finish this in 2 years in 1 summer if you take 2 classes each semester. You can also extend it out for a longer amount of time. Some of our students do this because maybe they change a job, maybe something happens in their life and they need to maybe take 1 class a couple of semesters. So we can be flexible with that to work the program around sort of what your schedule is like as well. And this image, all the images you're going to see in here are the student work from our certificate program. Next slide, please. So this gives you a little bit of a breakdown of our required courses that everyone has to take and our elective choices. So what you'll see in the required courses, and we spread them out throughout different semesters, and some of them are sequential, so you have to take them in order, some of them. But the required courses are fashion illustration, global heritage fashion and art, which is a global perspective on fashion history, pattern drafting, intro to creative fashion, which are our kind of first level creative classes. And the second level courses off of that are tailoring and couture design. And then your last semester, you will also complete a 2-credit professional portfolio class. For electives, we try to offer a number of different elective choices, and I've listed most of them here that we've had over the years and that we're running. So we offer digital tools for fashion design, and also digital tools for textile design. Both use the Adobe Creative Suite, Photoshop, and Illustrator for either doing technical design, more for product development, and also for textile design. Both those classes are really great. If you're really interested in working for a larger company in the industry, I would highly recommend as one of your electives taking one of those classes. Sustainable fashion is another elective. Really, that gives you a lot of the methods and processes for working sustainably in your own work, and how to implement that into your own design work, but also within a design company that you might be working for. That also includes a collaborative project with a design company in that course as well. Everything's moving towards sustainability. It's critical. So having an elective where you could focus a little bit more on that is why we developed that course. We also have specialized courses, millinery, costume design, handbag design, Intro to Clothes 3D Apparel Design is another digital course. That's another program that's being used quite widely now in the industry. So another good skill building class if you're really looking at working maybe for a larger company. Entrepreneurship for Creative Business. That's one of our undergrad classes, but it's offered in the night, and that class we can open it up to our certificate students. Sometimes it's offered in the certificate program. Now it's generally an undergrad class, but it's offered during the evening. Textile Study and Design is an asynchronous evening class as well. And we have a little flexibility with a couple of undergrad classes that we can offer as electives, but they're offered in the daytime. So that's dependent on your schedule. So I didn't list those here, but we have some flexibility too, because we're very closely aligned with our undergrad program as well. Next slide. And I think for me, I've been teaching in the certificate program for longer than we've actually had the program. So, and I also teach full-time in our undergrad program. So I'm very involved in both of the programs, and we really try to bridge them together. What I really love about the certificate program is the community that is created within this program. It's really interesting, the students that this program attracts and what each student brings with them, both professionally from their life skills. It's just been wonderful over the years, kind of seeing who the students are that choose to take the program and the community that they create within the program, but then also how it extends beyond as alumni. There's still very close connections both within MassArt, back to MassArt, and among the group of students who complete the program. And all of our faculty who teach in the program, if they're really specific classes, they're really experts in those classes. So if they're, our electives, each faculty really has an expertise in those classes. Many of our faculty are also our undergrad faculty, so we transfer. So you're getting a lot of the same faculty who are teaching in the BFA as well. Next slide. And then I'll just quickly, here's just a few images of give you a little bit again of the core curriculum. So pattern drafting, creative fashion, fashion illustration. Next slide. And then tailoring, couture, and portfolio. So again, like you can't take tailoring before you take pattern drafting, and you can't take couture design before you take creative fashion. So there are these classes that are sequential. So once you're in the program, I'll be your advisor for the program. So if you have questions about, I'll be helping you get registered for your classes and clearing your holds so that you'll be able to register, just to make sure that you don't try to take, like you're not confused on what the order of classes should be, as well as helping you select your choices for your electives. Again, you take 3 electives required for the program. Many students end up taking more than 3 just because they kind of want to get even more of the electives, but you have to take a minimum of 3. So I'll be there to help you kind of, figure out what the 3 best choices might be for you and your goals for the program as well. Next slide. And these are some of our electives. So, sustainable fashion. We've been doing a project with Eileen Fisher for many years. Um, Costume design. Handbag design, millinery design, and then entrepreneurship and digital tools. This digital tools is the digital tools for fashion one that you're seeing in that slide. And then, as part of the certificate program, we do offer travel courses in that are that are fashion focused in our undergrad program. I've run a number of them, and my colleague Renee has run some as well. But I'm always very conscious of making sure if we have a couple of certificate students who are interested, that they also have the opportunity to apply. The travel courses are the fee for the travel is a separate fee, but you could also just do it to do the travel course and for to go to a new place. But you could also do it for credit as one of your electives and pay for it for the credit as well. So you have kind of our certificate students have done it in different ways. But I'm heading to Laos in at the end of the semester, and I have two certificate students joining me on that trip as well. So every trip I've ever run, we've always had two or three certificate students joining. So it's been really fun, and they bring a lot to the travel course and the program as well. Next slide. Yeah, and this is the Paris Antwerp and the one to Laos. And actually the one on the right, that picture is one of our certificate students in it. One of our undergrad, she's on the left. One of our undergrad students is actually modeling a dress that she designed for the social enterprise we work with, which is run by the woman with the pink blouse. And the artisans we worked with, they're hand woven materials, all indigo dyed. They actually made the sample in the fabric while we were there. And it actually, that design went on and is selling, and it's named after the certificate student who designed it, Priya. So it's called the Priya dress. So it was a really interesting collaborative project. So, it just all opens up new possibilities as well. Next slide. And then my colleague Renee, who teaches in the certificate as well, has run a trip to Ghana, and I've also run it to India as well. Next slide. And then just to give you a little sense about, because it's always the question about, well, what do alumni do after, because it's a certificate program. Well, actually, our alumni do quite a bit of things. And these are all kind of places that our certificate students have ended up. So some have ended up at Talbot's, J. Jill, Converse, TJX, New Balance, in bridal design, Essence of Australia, costume design, the conservatory, the ballet, or film TV. And then we have a number of alum who are based here. Some Edna Cherry, Zainab Suma, Queen Adeline. They're all started their own businesses here in the greater Boston area. And Claire and Phyllis are in different locations, and there's more than this, but this just gives you a little bit of an understanding of sort of the variety of what our alum end up doing. A lot of it is dependent on sort of where you are when you come into the program, what your goals are, how much you want to take out of it. We really try to tailor it so that you can get out of it as much as you want to. And in terms of the courses you choose and volunteer opportunities. Most of the times when we have guest speakers and volunteer opportunities for our undergrad, I get sent out to our certificate students too. So you have the ability to get as much as you are able to out of the program as well. And we're always willing to work with you to help you achieve those goals. Next slide. And here's Zainab. She's the one I just mentioned who she's based here. She actually started in the program coming from a strong background she had an undergrad degree. She had lived and worked in London and Sierra Leone she's from. She was in LA and she worked in fashion, but on a for like a high-end boutique as a buyer and like more on the management side of things. And then she ended up taking the digital tools for textile design class and really fell in love with developing textiles for digital printing. And then she created a whole business out of it. So she's great. I mean, it's just a great example of something that started like by one course she took that opened up a whole new way of thinking about design for her that she hadn't really considered before. So some of it you try classes out and you find new things out about yourself and your interests as well. Next slide. And then here's the program cost. So I'm going to hand this over to Joe, who's going to talk a little bit more about this.
Thanks, Jen. So it's pretty straightforward here. What you see is tuitions and fees, financial aid, employer funding, and try first. So the tuition and fees is laid out. That's as of fall of 24. So 16,262. Pretty specific number. I usually give a little more rough number since those tuition does tend to go up, usually goes up summer of every year. So it's not a gigantic increase, but expect each class to probably be about $20 more come the summer. Financial aid is available if you're taking more than 6 credits. So you would need to apply through the financial aid office at MassArt for that to see what's available. And if you're applying, you can reach out to financial aid at the same time, just to get the ball rolling on any aid that you might be getting or might be trying to get. And employer funding, tuition reimbursement is available. It depends on your employer. So, and how that works, you would just reach out to us. Some places want you to pay first and then reimburse you. Others will give us a PO, and it's a little more complicated than traditionally registering, but we can make it happen. You just have to reach out to us and talk to us to see how to make it work. And for trying first, a lot of students will take 2 classes before they register. So before they apply to the program, I should say. And you do that just by registering through the MassArt continuing education website. We recommend that you take the beginning classes in the sequence. So whichever ones at the time are more foundational, we would ask that if you're going to do the 2 before, that you take 2 in the foundation group, or 1, 1 to 2 would transfer. So that's 6 credits that would transfer before you actually start the program. We can go to the next one. And the application, so currently the application is available. It's online. The deadline, as you see there for spring, that's a January start, is November 1st. There's a grace period of about a week. So if I know we're sort of up against it right now, being the end of October, but if you haven't started an application and plan to do so, if you start one, you can finish it past November 1st, just about a week beyond, to submit all of the materials. And that is done online. I can link the, it's done through our website. So if you go to pce.massart.edu, oh no, I'm sorry, we changed that. I'll link it in the chat. So this is, or in the Q&A. It's the MassArt website. If you go to the programs, you will see certificates, and then if you go to the certificates, you'll see fashion design, and there's a oval up in the right hand corner that says apply. That'll take you to the application. So what's required for the application, as it says, statement of purpose, a page or so about why you want to be in the program, resume, which is just a work resume, pretty simple thing. Letters of recommendation are not required, but they're encouraged. So if you have those, you can add those to your application. High school transcript. High school is the only requirement for education to be in the program. But if you have college transcripts, and those are easier for you to access, you can give us those instead of high school. Oftentimes we have people that are applying that haven't been to high school in 25 years, so it's difficult for them to get those, but they do have some college. So if you have college instead of high school, feel free to give us those. If you have both or only one, any of those will work. And a collage, which is a collage of images related to fashion. What interests you in the world of fashion, just a collage of images. And that's uploaded to the application. However you want to put that together, it's pretty free form. So whatever interests you in terms of fashion, just show us through your collage skills, and that'll be part of the application. And that's it for the app. And as I said, November 1st is the deadline, and that's coming up. So if you have questions or if you want to apply, that's my email address, joe.doucette@massart.edu. And next slide.
I guess we open it up to questions now.